The American dream is the classic capitalist idea that anyone with a good idea can earn a living if they work hard. But it seems that even terrible ideas can earn a pretty penny. The inventors in this video made millions off of their oddball creations. Stay tuned until the end to see which 80s invention is still rather popular today. Before you get jealous that you didn't think of these ideas first, make sure to like this video and subscribe to The Richest. Snuggie. In 2008, the Snuggie took America by storm. The blanket with sleeves sold 20 million units in its first year on the market, and it became a household name. As if the idea wasn't simple enough, it's not even original. A college student named Gary Clegg created the Slanket in 1997 to keep his arms warm while using his TV remote. He asked his mom to produce multiple prototypes and gave them to family and friends. By 2005, he and his brother had invested capital and had a full-fledged business. After 2 years of increasing sales, the brothers started selling the Slanket on QVC. But in 2008, one infomercial was on everyone's lips. The Snuggie infomercial became an internet sensation and their product became immensely popular. But the idea of a blanket with sleeves is so popular that the Snuggie's success didn't even hurt the Slanket's sales. Clegg says that his company is still internationally successful. Lucky Break Wishbone. Breaking the wishbone is a centuries-old tradition and superstition. Common at Thanksgiving, many families take this bone out of the turkey. Two people each grab one side and pull the bone apart while secretly making a wish. Whomever is holding the larger end will have their wish come true. But Ken Aroni had one problem with this tradition. There's only one wishbone in the entire bird. So in 2004, he founded Lucky Break Wishbone to produce plastic wishbones. Thanks to his product, everyone now gets the chance to make their dreams come true. 2 years later, the company had already reached almost $1 million in sales. Aroni realized his idea was immensely successful, and Sears even tried to steal the idea for themselves. After asking for a prototype and ordering millions of wishbones, Sears suddenly backed out. But later that year, they sold their own version of the product for Thanksgiving. Aroni ended up taking the retail giant to court, where he emerged triumphant. Squatty Potty. Lots of horrible ideas end up flushed down the toilet drain. But this invention helps us do just that, and it turned one Utah family into multimillionaires. The Squatty Potty was created because Bobby Edwards' mom suffered from severe constipation. Medical professionals recommended that she prop her feet up while going to the bathroom. According to her, the relief was almost immediate. Due to the shape of our colon, it's actually easier to relieve ourselves while squatting, which is already a common position in many Asian countries. Sitting on Western-style toilets actually makes bathroom duties more difficult. After investing $35,000 to start the business, the Squatty Potty exceeded $19 million in yearly sales by 2016. Again, Edwards attributes the company's success to its marketing strategy. He began by sending free prototypes to health bloggers to create internet buzz. This led to a few TV appearances, which caused sales to take off. This new income allowed him to produce the company's famous unicorn advertisement, which has garnered millions of views on YouTube. Big Mouth Billy Bass. We're not entirely sure why, but the Big Mouth Billy Bass was immensely popular back in the mid-2000s. Nearly everyone had this singing fish in their bathroom. This room decoration is a fake fish mounted on a wooden plaque. But when you walk past it, the fish springs to life and sings a song. What started out as a cute joke became a nationwide phenomenon. After earning his MBA from Indiana University, businessman Joe Pelletieri started working for a company that produced gag gifts. They started out with the singing flower and expanded to produce dancing flowers in pots. After a visit to Bass Pro Shops, Pelletieri's wife had the idea for a singing fish on a plaque. Joe took the idea and made a prototype. After trusting his gut, the first singing bass hit the shelves in 1999. By the summer of 2000, their product was flying off the shelves. But its success was short-lived. After 9 months, the novelty of the gag gift had worn off and the product's price plummeted. However, it's reported that the company still made over $100 million in revenue. Pet rock. Arguably one of the most well-known pop culture fads from the 1970s is the pet rock. And while our parents might remember their pet rocks fondly, we think this idea is pretty bad. Who would pay money for a rock? Well, it turns out the 70s was the best time for this invention. In 1975, Gary Ross Dahl came up with this horrible idea in a bar with some friends. He then went home and created the packaging prototype. Each pet rock came resting in a soft bed of hay inside of a carrying case that had air holes so that each pet rock could breathe. They also had their own personal care instructions, a training guide of tricks, and a historical lineage. Many rocks claim to have been part of the Egyptian pyramids or the Great Wall of China, but we have our doubts. However, as with most fads, the pet rock trend faded by 1976. But Dahl maintained that he earned over $1 million during his brief success. Moreover, his invention has become a cultural icon. Slinky. While everyone knows and loves the Slinky, this cultural icon started out as a pretty horrible idea. During the 1940s, most of America's industrial manufacturers were focused on building military equipment. And while Richard James was working in a shipyard, he knocked a tension spring on the floor. This simple accident inspired him to create a children's toy. James would spend the next 2 years experimenting with different kinds of metals and lengths before settling on the modern spring that walks down the stairs. His wife took the name Slinky from the dictionary, and the couple invested $500 into the founding of the company. The toy became famous overnight, and James was the celebrity spokesman. However, the fame went to his head, and his wife had to take over after he followed a religious cult to Bolivia. She would go on to create the Slinky empire with its ever-familiar TV jingle. In 2008, the New York Times calculated that enough Slinkies have been sold to encircle the globe 150 times over. IFART app. Everyone loves a good fart joke, but let's face it, when has a fart ever been a $1 million idea, let alone a good one? Well, in 2008, the IFART mobile app was often the #1 downloaded app every day. After paying the iTunes store its cut of the sales, the company still earned over $9,000 per day. Ever since its release, the app was consistently in the top 100 list for 2008. Christmas Day alone saw 40,000 downloads. The idea of a farting phone became so popular that 14 new apps of its kind were added to the Apple Store in one day. And in 2016, over 1,200 farting apps were available in Apple's App Store and Google Play. Doggles. Ronnie DeLulo loves dogs. She loves dressing them up and playing with them in the park. She's incredibly close with her pet dog, a border collie, so she was surprised in 1997 when her dog struggled to play frisbee. She realized that he was being blinded by the sun. While she had sunglasses to help her see, her poor dog had nothing to protect his eyes. With a background in software programming, DeLulo used computer-aided drafting programs to design Doggles, goggles made especially for dogs. She began selling Doggles as a hobby, only going to a few craft shows and using word of mouth. But in 2002, she started to gain some media presence. Eventually, DeLulo cold-called PetSmart and asked them to sell her product in their stores. A few weeks later, she received a letter saying that Doggles would be sold nationwide. While DeLulo's first-year sales topped out at $100,000, her sales in 2015 surpassed $3 million. It turns out that many people want sunglasses for their dogs. Koosh ball. Another childhood favorite started out as a potentially horrible idea. Back in 1986, engineer Scott Stillinger was struggling to play catch with his kids. While the concept is simple enough, Stillinger said that his kids struggled with the normal ball's bounciness. The ball would bounce out of his kids' hands. To create a prototype for an easy-to-catch ball, he made a ball out of rubber bands and then cut the rubber bands to give the Koosh ball its iconic image. Confident in his idea, Stillinger and his brother-in-law quit their jobs and went to work for themselves. In 1988, they secured a patent for their new toy. They came up with the name from the sound that it makes while being thrown. The men even wrote the official Koosh book to illustrate different tricks and games that can be done with the ball. They even went as far as creating a comic book based on the ball of rubber. By 1994, the company was making $30 million, and the partners sold the company to Hasbro in 1997. Chia Pets. Chia Pets have been a beloved Christmas gift for decades. Many a childhood was spent smearing a seedy paste on a porcelain animal's back or head. Like some other items on our list, the Chia Pet was not an original idea. A San Francisco marketing manager named Joe Padot stumbled across them in a Chicago drugstore. The store owner said that he could barely keep them on the shelves. Seeing the potential of a great idea, Padot approached the company owner and bought the business. After restructuring the means of production, Padot upped their product's marketing strategy. This is where the ever-famous Ch-Ch-Ch-Chia jingle was born. Easily one of the most recognizable jingles in the United States, it allowed the Chia Pet to reach new audiences. Even today, it's estimated that nearly 500,000 Chia Pets are sold during the holidays. While the classic animals are still the most popular, the company has expanded to cartoon characters as well. That's all for 10 horrible ideas that made people millions. Do you know of any other horrible idea that should have made this list? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.